Audience, there are lots and lots of spoilers for Star Trek Picard Episode 6, The Impossible Box, and all the episodes of Star Trek Picard and the wider Star Trek universe. I love that we can call it a Star Trek universe, so beware and please attend carefully. And also, just bear with us. We're pretty crazy in this discussion. One of us really loves this show, and the other one is barely getting through it. So I hope you enjoy that as well. We are back. Ooh, what was that? Did you see that weird glitch that happened?
Yeah, it was like sexy alert went on.
Oh, sexy alert.
It's
That's my new favorite. I feel like that's like Jeff Goldblum would say something like that. Oh, sexy alert time. Hey, alert everyone, I'm feeling real sexy. That's such a bad Jeff Goldblum impersonation. We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. We are currently focused on Star Trek Picard, episode 6, The Impossible Box. And I'm trying wait, your audio cut out. Where are you?
hello. Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Oh, okay.
All right.
Did you go like
I
mm-hmm?
just said it. Letting
I
you
was
do
trying
your
to do it.
intro. You know.
I got to move this thing because I was trying to do a. I like to see my face. There, that's much
Don't give
better.
me.
Now it
Oh,
looks like I
we
have.
might give each other coronavirus.
It's true. That the mask
Is
is
that a
protecting.
triple?
Thank you. It is a triple. This is for the ASMR audience. Hopefully they can hear the triple. Audience, we never do this live, but since I have to do a camera adjustment. I never do this on Starfleet Boy. It's live camera adjustments. What an unprofessional show Starfleet Boy is. This is like a level 10 phaser blast.
Keep calm.
That's much better
And
now.
carry on.
Oh, you can see that. All right, now we got to move it this way. So unprofessional, and we got to change the lighting. I didn't even change the lighting. We're live, Ruben. Can you believe this? We're live. And I haven't changed the lighting or anything. There, now I think we're the correct distance so that my face. My face looks like your face. There, we're the same
I
size
need to get
face.
a shave.
Your beard looks really good. It looks like Rios's beard.
Yeah.
In fact, you could cosplay as Rios.
Yeah, I
like
could because I own some of his clothes already.
Did you
No,
do it?
but some of the shorts he wore in episode 6, I kind of have a pair that look like that.
That's amazing. Is that how you're gonna cosplay? As shirtless
Rio
Rios?
with a impaled in the shoulder.
No, you should do that one. That one's fun, but I think you should do him with a football.
Yeah.
Is that a football? Was that a
Football,
football we
sí.
saw today?
Aguardiente.
Football. Aguardiente. Okay, now I have to change the lighting because would you agree that this is a Romulan revelation we got tonight at least? Wait, I have a game we got a request. Hold on.
Okay.
Before we start, we can't start the discussion yet. A friend of mine at work who listens to this podcast, which I was very surprised and pleased that that happens, they thought the Jurassic Park thing was hilarious, but they wanted to add a new layer to the mix. So the game is, I guess your rating at the beginning of the episode, since mine you already know is a 10. Everybody already knows it's not going to be anything other than a 10. So it's already my rating is like null and void, right? But I have to guess your rating for this episode, and then at the end you have to confirm if I was correct. Well, based on how close I was, I win no prize, but but it's just something fun we could do tonight as friends. And I've decided that Star Trek Picard is definitely a drinking event. So this is an unsolicited uh,
Um,
mention.
Kirkland's green
Mm,
tea.
that's from Seattle. That's from Washington
It's from
State. I fully
Costco.
support that water.
The, their
Yeah,
brand.
which is
Yeah.
a Washington State company. I had no idea these corporations. I used to complain about like Starbucks as a corporation, and then I would complain about like Costco as a corporation, and then I moved somewhere where those are the hometown businesses, and they just happen to be like ginormous. They're like just the local businesses, and so when I would shop local, which I love to do, I obviously went to many independent coffee houses. I definitely didn't favor. I drank way less Starbucks than I do in Miami, let's just say, and I shopped way less at Costco than I ever did in Miami. But now I'm proud. Now I go to Starbucks. I'm just like, here, give Howard Schultz and company
There are
my
some
money. Here you
corporations that are
go.
not all of them are evil.
I work for two corporations. I was lucky enough to work for two that are not evil, that weren't evil, that still aren't evil. Some disagree with this, but Apple, and then I have to consult with my corporation to mention them. But the one I work for now, I believe, is a good Apple. Do I have a white? Oh, we didn't even turn the green. Ah, this is such a audience. This is the worst episode of Starfleet Boy ever. It's probably the most unprofessional. Oh, and now the light just dimmed. All right, we're gonna get it right. Hold on, here we go. Ready? That would be this color, and then watch this, audience, right before your eyes. Did it work? Did I turn green?
Something changed. Yeah,
Hold on.
I see green over
All
here, but it's still purplish over there.
right, hold on. I need more in my
Oh, I see
face.
more
This
green.
is dun 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 dun
I'm
dun
Narek.
dun
I'm
dun.
nefarious.
Now I've done my gimmick for the episode.
I have a Romulan Rubik's cube.
I love your I actually kind of love your
My
I wouldn't
narrative.
compare it to I wouldn't compare it to a Rubik's cube. An impossible box though. Do you ever watch those this is going to be terrible now. We're going to be like teenagers here. But do you ever watch those puzzle box solving YouTube channels?
No, they have those. Oh my god, I love it already.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yes. So that's what that reminded me of, is that like it was handcrafted like by a Romulan prince like 2000 years ago. Did Romulans have prince, like they had an empire, right? So there would have been princes of some sort. The Praetor is dead.
Solving the trickiest Japanese puzzle box.
Those are especially
Ooh,
good.
I'm
Those
gonna
are
leave
really,
that
yeah,
open for
you're
later.
on the right.
Something new to watch.
So you agree to the ratings game? I feel like
Yeah, it
you're
sounds fun.
way less green than me. It's so freaky. I'm an Orion slave boy tonight. I'm your Orion slave boy tonight. You can actually use your
I
power
don't know
over
what that
me.
means, but all right.
You can use your power over. This game just got more interesting. So not only do I have to guess your rating, but if I'm wrong, you can use your power over me to reduce my rating to whatever you want.
So I could
That's
just
the
make your rating
Punisher.
a 1?
You could totally make my rating a 1. I will be allowed to plead with you though. There will be a begging period. All right, let me soften this light so it's not so intense in my
I think that
face.
was my WhatsApp.
The Romulanness.
WhatsApp.
There we go. Now I can actually see you, but I'm still a greenish tinge. All right, we're back to. We're back on another exciting episode of Star. Just in case I decide to cut all of that out, I'm redoing the
All of
intro.
what? What are you talking about?
It's true. And we're back, audience, on another exciting episode of Starfleet, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Tonight, we are focused on Star Trek Picard, episode 6. I feel like I just pulled a. I feel like I just. I feel like I just did what that episode with the Bozeman with Frasier does, where like time just repeated itself, and we're gonna do the exact same gags and the exact same like conversation as we did before. But we're here to talk about the Impossible Box, and we're gonna play that game that we talked about earlier that you don't know about, audience. So I'll let you know right now. I'm gonna guess the Martian's final
I'm gonna cover
rating.
my face so you won't see my tail.
I love, I love that you did that because you just referenced episode 1 of Star Trek Picard, and I appreciate a reference. Um, that's very good. Um, I'm gonna guess that your rating for this episode is a 5.5. Okay, you can release your face to me. So that's my guess for your rating.
Okay, and
I was really realistic, right?
I wrote down my
That's a
rating
real.
earlier.
Don't you
Yeah,
did. Okay. Oh, so we have proof of it. That's
so it's
awesome. That's
interesting.
perfect. Um, do you mind if I give like a?
The summary, right?
I'm so excited. Can I, or do you want? Do you have one in
No,
mind?
no, no.
Did
You
you
do
want
a
to
summary.
like do the?
You do the summary. I will interject.
Awesome. I love it.
uh,
Um, we finally get going into full gear, it seems, in this episode, because uh the thing we've been waiting for like basically 6 episodes, which is for Picard and Soji to finally meet, and some of us for Picard and Hugh to finally meet, because I have definitely been waiting for that, happens in this episode. We also get like kind of the reveal, I think, for me, the reveal of what is happening in the landscape, so to speak, with the Romulans and what their plot might be. I have some better guesses. I guess I could make a more educated guess. um we get Soji scenes where she's just, well, now I'm not giving a summary. Now I'm just like excited. So you're not even
I'm
reining
just
me in.
listening. I'm
I
enjoying the
like you're
show.
not. Oh, you're enjoying it. Okay. uh we get Soji in full action, which we haven't seen since Dodge, and it
Right,
was
she
very
finally
impressive.
activates.
Activates, exactly, which is scary as fuck also, because what if I'm working with someone who is like gonna activate one day and I'm just a casualty? Like, not even that she or he meant to hurt me, but like I just happen to be like walking photocopies back to my desk, and they
You bump
activate.
into
It
a
would be very
coworker and they're
scary.
like,
Well, hopefully that person is an android like Soji, and might be able to know the
and just
difference between
punches
friend and
floors.
foe. Just much as what. Um, we get some. Well, if we're gonna go in order, I guess it starts out with how did it start out?
With
With,
the
oh, all of
dream,
them sitting around the table talking about.
her
Oh
dream
yeah,
as a little
that's
girl.
it's true.
Ooh, perfect casting. It looks like a tiny, a tiny version of a
Version
yeah.
of Soji.
Uh,
And we get like this. That's right. That scene's pretty scary. You know what? I've only seen this episode twice, and it's still very visceral for me. But I forgot how scary that scene was. But you're right. We start out with that. We get that reveal about Soji. That was crazy. Did you think about Dr. Soong? Who's the guy? Who's her
isn't
father
it?
in the dream? Or
Isn't
is
it
it not
Maddox?
important? Yeah, but it didn't look like Maddox, the blurry faced guy. Ooh, you
Oh,
getting a
what's
text
up?
message? I think, okay, I'm just gonna skip to what I think is going on. I'm just gonna paint the picture of the landscape that I see. All right. I'm just gonna
Like
forget the
Data.
summary here. Dr. Soon is totally still around as an android. And we thought all this time that he was good, but he's actually a bad guy. Data was a mistake. Like, he actually intended to make Lores, not Data's, and take over the galaxy and run it. But then he met his wife, and he softened his heart soft. No, no, okay,
Well,
that's
I'm
great.
just saying I'm not. I actually kind of buy it because they did it in Enterprise. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again. Didn't they make Soon's like
So you say there's
grandfather
a.
evil?
Oh, there is that episode where,
Or
he's like very, isn't he caught
yeah,
up
he
with the
made like
eugenics
yeah, yeah.
plot, right? Like
So
that's what it
I
is,
wouldn't be
right?
surprised if they're like, hey, let's just do that again.
um Both times that I watched it, I think for me the focal point was the Picard Borg flashbacks, like all of his Locutus rememberings, and then the meeting of Hugh. I just like look, I'm getting teary eyed right now, just like remember, like where he's like, they're trying to prevent you from falling. Like he's just so beautiful as a being. He's still the Hugh that I like. The I was worried that like he has changed, but I was worried that he was going to be as dramatic as Seven of Nine. Like he's murdered, like,
Or as
and maybe
Picard,
he has.
who abandons people for decades when he's got interstellar
But he
communication.
actually
Can't make a phone call, Picard. The Chateau doesn't have a phone.
you're so angry. You are so angry at Picard. You have no you're like the
It's like
angry
my dad
you're like the
disappearing for 14 years and then coming back and being like, "Hey, I just need you for something right now. Since you can drive a car, I'm too old."
but you'd still do it. See, that's the thing.
Yeah, he would take
You'd
advantage
still
of my
do
good
it.
nature.
I know, and that's what Picard's do. He did it. Okay, so I do want to talk about that. He claps at poor Raffi, and I kind of, I kind of that like bothered me. Like, okay, that was a bother. Like that was a point of contention for me because I didn't. That was the one moment where I was like,
Wait,
that
which
doesn't
moment are
really
we
seem
talking
like
about?
Jean Luc to me. So there's Raffi's story continues to get worse in terms of like sad. Like she's just getting she was pretty drunk and wasted, and he
Right, but
asked her
every
to
time
help
she...
him
Sorry, go ahead.
to get
Good, just go ahead. Just go ahead. I don't want to get into it. That was my rant. That was my rant pitch. I didn't want to get
I love it. You're
there.
self-regulating. Uh Which I have to tell you, I had a moment like that. Not with you. I don't feel that way towards you, but like I feel like with my family, sometimes I do get into these like moments of like of contention or argument. And this episode was somewhat therapeutic because I noticed Picard flails off constantly. He's yelling at people all the time. He's just angry. He's like you. You are the reason you're angry is because Picard's like you. Actually,
I'm not.
Ruben,
I'm
that's
not
why you're
senile.
angry. Is because you no, it's not that you're not senile, but you don't want Picard to be imperfect,
Picard's
right?
turning
You
into
want
the
him to be your
crazy old Picard from
inspiration.
the final episode of TNG.
He really is. Okay, so no, I love it. That's what one of the things I love. But anyways, Rafi helps him get the certificate that he needs to go see Hugh on the Borg ship, and it allows for diplomatic immunity before all hell breaks loose. So that's how he gets on the cube. And it's really depressing because it's like if I called you and was like, "Hey, Ruben, man, I'm helping that guy again. The guy that I'm always like complaining about on the phone to you, right? Like, there's that moment, and then her friend is like, oh, like I will do this one more favor for you, but then don't ever call me again. And I've gone through that actually. I've actually leaned on my luck with some friends, and I've lost some friends throughout the years. So that was a very like relatable moment. But when she's done, it's really sad, and the rest of the crew is really empathetic towards her. Like Elnor looks like genuinely like disturbed by what he saw, and like sad, and like even Girardi, who I'm like so afraid of right now, she had a moment in her eyes where she and then Rafi's kind of just like, ugh, whatever, JL, and she's gonna go walk away, and she stumbles, and Rios catches her. But before that, like Jean-Luc claps her out, like, thank you so much,
Oh
and then he
right.
sits down, and the music swells to the Enterprise theme. And on the one hand, I understand, like, it is a victory, right? Like, but did you have to clap her out? It was so like, I
I
don't know, it's
mean,
kind of rude. And I feel like that was something old man Picard,
Picard.
I
It
like
made
that was
Picard
like a
an a
moment there.
hole.
The other thing that like really and I feel like I feel like I can joke about this because I know that from seeing Patrick Stewart in interviews that he's definitely aged, but he's not as aged as he's portraying. So he's definitely acting, and it's good because it's freaking me out. Is like when he's holding things now, his hands shake sometimes, and I know that doesn't happen because I've seen him on like pulling stuff off and holding things. Like in this, there's this cute interview he does for Wired magazine, and he doesn't shake that much. He shakes like way less, and so that's really disheartening. And when he has his dizzy spell on the Borg ship, I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not here for this. Like, this is not, like this is not what I want to see. I don't want to see like the greatest captain of all time doing this. And then I'm gonna make one more plea here before before you cut it. about it. I'm going full Starfleet boy on you tonight with this summary. But like one last thing is that like what I thought was interesting, and this may not be interesting to you in the same way, but like after Star Trek 6, when the Federation is forced to integrate with the Klingon Empire in some way, and we find out in Next Generation what that integration looks like. So we don't see, so Star Trek 6 overlaps with TNG, so there's a little bit of retconning going on, but as far it's pretty fluid as far as the storyline goes. You have this mortal enemy, and then all of a sudden you're forced to be friends with them because you have like an integration of some sort that has to happen because of a natural disaster. And here we have the Hobus Nebula is Picard's same thing. We've talked about that before. The Romulan Federation like integration that's occurred is similar to that, but it's even on a greater scale. And we never got Star Trek Kirk, but I would have loved it if it dealt with this kind.
That's how you never know. You never
You know what I'm saying?
know.
Like it could have. I would. That would be just death for me. Like I wouldn't even have to. I would come on every show and I'd just be
It's
like, I
better
don't
for
even
you.
know what
It's
to
better for
talk
me.
about.
It's better
It's
for him.
how are you gonna credit? It's better for you. It's better for them. The credit to
Yeah,
Manny for posting that
that's great.
on your post. That was really cool. Um, I believe he goes by Lost Boy. I think he's known as Lost Boy.
I think he's Manny 1138 on Twitter, right?
My bad. Manny 1130. He was once Lost Boy, but now he's found and he's Manny
Manny G
1138.
1138 on Twitter.
Manny G.
Yeah.
The
Shout out.
OG Manny
Shout
G.
out.
That's what it's that's what it's like. That's a person I've known you since third grade. That's third grade props. When Manny comes on the show, he'll have succeeded you in terms of like Starfleet Boy trivia. They'll say Starfleet Boy's oldest friend was someone he knew from kindergarten, and he was on the show, and they got into a great discussion
I
about
guess only
something.
Rena
I
could
don't
break
know
that
what that'll
record,
be,
right?
but yeah. Oh, I could do a since birth record. I feel like that's got to start with Drunk Space Nine getting Rena integrated into the
She does she
show.
watch Picard? She watches Picard, right?
We could do. Yeah, she loves it. As far as I know, we're on the same page 100%. And she might even be more into it and less critical than I am because she doesn't want to talk about it
She wants to go
afterwards with
cry.
me because I start asking. Yeah, I ask too many questions. She wants to go
What are you
cry
doing to
more than I do, but
Picard?
I cry. It's not that. It's
Why
not
is the
that at all.
elf eating
There is a
breakfast with
little.
his sword on his back on the ship?
It's great. I would. I don't trust anyone on that ship. Girardi, he probably senses the elf had his sword. I think it's important that the elf. I don't want to call him the elf. He's
Romulus.
Elnor. He's my
Romulus.
boy Elnor. He's Elnor. I wish that they had Picard branded track tracksuits so that I could wear the official. I have my Picard thing here. Here, let me try to cover this. Wait, there we go. I think you're not supposed to have that was unsolicited. Now it's unbranded,
There you
so we
go.
won't get in trouble. Unless Adidas
My
wants to sponsor this
Adidas.
episode and make money off of it, that would be fine too. All right, so in closing, in closing, they so Picard finds Hugh. He's kind of like the action just starts. Oh, I forgot to tell you about all of the Narek and Soji parts, which no one seems to like that I talk to. So that's probably why I black it out all the time. But I don't know how you're feeling about it. But Narek and Soji are while they're effing, while they f. Is
Yeah, I
that
think
okay to
YouTube's
say?
alright with that.
While they're effing, they are talking a lot of smack to each other, and Narek is basically trying to. We find out that he's some
That's
sort
my
of
Narek mouth.
expert on
My Narek mouth.
what's that?
Oh, I do have another name.
Oh wow! When you do the voice, it's actually pretty good. Like your expression doesn't match the beauty of Harry Harry Treadaway, but your voice is pretty good. It's pretty close. I'm actually enjoying it. Um, but we find out he's some sort of expert or like he's very proficient with cybernetics, and he realizes that the reason why Soji's having these dreams is so that her her positronic subconscious can reconcile the fact that she knows that she's an android with this pretend story that she has in her brain of who she actually is. I think that's the part of it that's very, I think that's a part of it that can get like where we can get on long tangents about. But basically, we find out that that he's trying to get at this information in the previous episode, which is the location of a nest or a planet. Now we find out of possibly synthetic life forms, which is very interesting, and I want to know what your theories are about that. But anyways, he figures out a clever way to do it. He finally breaks her down where he gets her to realize that she's a synthetic life form. So he didn't damage her, like he wasn't the one who triggered her safety protocols. In other words, so by her realizing it herself, he's able to like unlock her vulnerability, so to speak, and he takes her into the Romulan chamber of meditation and walks her through this like she's so what's interesting about this is her whole cover story is that she's a scientist that studies common frameworks to deal with like trauma and things like that. So he's using her own psychology in a sense against her here, where he creates this mythology, which is an actual mythological framework that the Romulans have, which is this like meditation path. And as he's walking her through it, he's helping her to like stay in that dream state of hers, so that she can describe the environment, because he thinks that the information in the dream would be scanned from the environment in which she was created, which makes sense because like if you're going to put a dream in a fake dream into an android's head, you would just scan your my bedroom would be the backdrop. Now I know not to do that because the Tao Shiar would figure it out, but my my initial impulse would be just to scan my surroundings as I was programming my android. Am I programming an android? Do you think? Yeah,
What's
I
that?
could be doing it. I could. I might be programming an android. You never know. I might be an android. What would you do if I was your whole life? You just were
Well,
like living with
I always like
an
to
android.
think of like what happens is like what happens if the day you die, all of a sudden you wake up because you're sitting in front of some sort of computer playing like a Second Life type game, and it was your life.
There's a
And now
fun.
that game ended, and your real life, you're back to or kind of like, or if like one day everything turns off and you're standing in a holodeck, and somebody walks in and goes, "Oh, how was your experience in the 21st century?"
That would be amazing.
And your whole life was just a holodeck.
There's a fun game, which. So, by the way, I want to give credit. We totally didn't give credit to my friend. Oh no, I don't know if I can give credit. Damn it. But the idea of playing games on a podcast I got from somewhere else. Like the one thing that he suggested, my friend, uh, I chose to now I now I don't know if I should be saying the real gender. Maybe I didn't say the real gender. My fr- this is so annoying.
This is the impossible box.
This is the impossible box.
You're like,
I'm like, how do I do this? Okay, forget it. We're playing games on this episode of Starfleet Void. The reason we're playing games is because I'm listening to a podcast called Asking Linda's. Have you heard Asking Linda's?
oh no, but I think they like the tweet. It's something my
Excellent. You should
my
follow them and you should
exocomp
listen to
tweet.
their podcast. So, do you remember Kevin of Nine on Drunk Space Nine?
Mhm.
Okay, we're going on a weird tangent, audience, but we're 28 minutes in. It's okay. We have plenty of time to hear Ruben's complaints, the Martian's complaints about Star Trek Picard. But Kevin of Nine does a podcast with his like friend from childhood called Asking Linda's, because both their moms' names is Linda, and his friend's name is
Mm.
Evan Rocha.
And they
And
found out while
so
they were fighting one day, just like Batman versus Superman.
maybe, I don't know. It's a little, I don't know. One of the Lindas might have been calling the other one of the sons "you little bitch." So I don't know what kind of relationship they had when they were 17, but it sounds like it was pretty fun. Anyways, Asking Lindas is a fun podcast, and then they were both on the previous episode of Drunk Space Nine. So I'm totally doing a
Oh, okay.
shameless. This is a solicited plug for Starfleet Boy stuff. So yeah, go listen. Pause this. Go listen to Drug Space Nine, and then go listen to Asking Linda's, and then come back to this video. And I promise we'll be still talking about Picard when you get back. That was cool. I wonder if anyone's gonna try that. That was epic. Um, what is so based on this like this thing he does, he's able to, I think I'm oh, did my voice quality change when the tribble went away?
Oh
Oh
yeah,
wow.
it got way
Like,
clearer.
oh, was it really bad before?
No, it wasn't bad, but now
I
that
knew
the
it.
minute you took it away, you could hear the difference.
Audience, this is how you learn how to podcast. You watch bad podcasters figure out stuff
You're
live.
welcome, audience.
You're welcome, audience, when you get that. So now my voice quality is a lot better. You can understand me.
Yeah.
What about what about my face quality?
There's not much you could do about
Uh,
it.
do I look more like Narek or
Well,
like a old Elnor, like when he cut his hair?
no, I would go with Eric.
Oh, I love Narek though. It's fine with me.
Hey,
I'm
Derek's
down.
pretty cool too. I think he's some sort of something, I guess.
So the planet, so based on the information that he's able to glean from her while doing this whole,
Right.
complicated psychological mindfuck on her, he basically gives information to his incestuous bitch sister, and she is a bitch sister. You have to admit. I say that I just cursed on my show, but
You
she's a
love
good
her,
actress. But
brother.
the characters I call
Awful.
her bitch sister
Awful.
because she's a terrible
Whatever rating
sister.
I give this episode, know that when she's on screen, the rating dips about a half point for
Wow,
the
so
time
I
she's on
might
screen.
you gave me a great bargaining chip for the end when I'm like, but your true rating had she not been in this episode would have been this. Wow, that's heavy. So anyways, she is able to find out that some really important information, which is it's a planet with two moons, bloody red moons, and there's lightning storms all the time.
All right.
That's what her subconscious remembers about when she was being built
It's
and tested
Exegol.
on. Oh my god. What if it is Exegol?
And I like that he's like, look up. What do you see through the skylight? Like, how do you know there's a skylight in her dream?
She said it. She goes, "There's a skylight."
Oh, did she?
You're
Okay.
not. She says it.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
I just killed one of your arguments. Damn
No,
it.
no. I have plenty. Oh, trust me, I have plenty of things I
Okay,
can say if I want to.
okay.
I mean, I already said the eating lunch with a sword on your
I
back.
think, and
Hi
then I was like,
guys,
no, no, no.
don't mind me.
I don't have my sword prop here, but I would
Yeah,
totally love.
mine is up back here. I have the Highlander
You
sword.
have your you. That's more appropriate. That's more like Elnor's sword.
If I could get it.
That is beautiful.
Oh.
There can be only one. Oh, don't take out your podcast. You're not trained in the ways of the Quat Milat.
No.
Elnor. So, anyways, but I got greener. Did you notice?
I'm the Quamalot. What?
There should be a
That's what
total. Oh my
Eleanor did on
god.
his off time on the planet.
Oh my gosh.
He was
I
a
don't know
rapper.
if I don't know if Evan Evagora knows how to rap, but I know that Trek on the Tube knows how to rap. So if he's listening to this, I challenge him to create a a Quat Milat rap. And
Rap
he should
with the
send it
dancing nuns in the back.
he should send it to Evan Evagora to do to like make it happen, to make it so, Evan Evagora. Anyways,
Orlando Bloom makes a cameo.
so so in that time, when right before all that, or while that's all happening, Picard and Hugh, after they reunite, it's very emotional, and I love that scene, and we could talk about it if you want to. Uh, but they go to Soji's apartment, or whatever you want to call it, on the Borg cube, and they find out that she's been kind of on some sort of manic episode, and they're trying to investigate and figure out what's going on. And he realizes that she's activated when he saw that she tore a picture of her and Daj in half. And what was cool about the scene where she was having her manic episode was that, like, because Narek was kind of has been messing with her for 6 episodes. He's been messing with her for we've endured Narek's messing with Soji for 6 episodes, and it finally paid off here because she starts scanning. She stabs herself to wake herself up, because what the mother protocol does is, like, when she starts to realize something, or she's having like any kind of like uh revelation or whatever, or like anything that puts her out of a good mood, the mother protocol kicks in and she falls asleep, and then her programming resets, and all the I'm sure memory wipes start happening and things like that, to make her go back to being like the way that she's supposed to. And so here she disrupts it by stabbing herself so that she doesn't fall asleep. And she realizes that the mother, because it repeats itself, it does like a glitch in the matrix thing, and she realizes, oh shit, that's not a real thing, it's a computer program pretending to be my mom. Or whatever she realizes. She might, think it's the demons. But she starts scanning. I doubt she thinks that, but she starts scanning all the photos, and she realizes nothing's older than 37 months, which I thought was kind of interesting, because is 37 the new 47? Could they, like, do you know
What?
that whole thing? There's like the number 47 is like spread across throughout Star Trek. I think it started
Oh, I
in
never heard of that.
it might have started in the films, and then it just continues to I we can do a little research if you want. I can continue babbling babbling about the episode, babbling away.
Let's see.
But anyways, so she realizes all these things, and then Narek also pushes her and says, like, by the way, there's this other weird thing, this anomaly, that, like, all of your calls with your mom happen to be 70 seconds long, and then they stop. It's like very weird, like, do you realize that? And she, all these things kind of get her to wake up. And again, he does it in such a way where she realizes it, so that he doesn't have to, like, trigger her alert protocol and activator. But obviously, once he's got the information he needs, which I thought also another good scene was that he releases the red version of the Thalaron radiation that Shin's on. It kind of reminded me of that whole thing where, like, remember, he, like, the one Romulan center leaves behind this little square, and it opens up, and it creates this Thalaron thing, and then everyone in the Romulan Senate, including the Praetor, are killed in Nemesis. Do you remember that?
Sorry, I was
Well,
reading
what?
about the 47 thing.
Oh, you didn't know this whole thing? Now you're like,
Fascinating.
oh, whoa.
Yeah,
Oh,
some
okay.
TNG writer started the joke, and it caught on
Ah, it was
through
TNG.
Voyager.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And it was because when he went to college at Pomona College, he was part of a club called the 47 Society, which
That's right.
claims that there exists a mathematical proof that all numbers are equal to 47. Okay.
That sounds like it sounds like a drinking society
Yeah.
to me.
So I'm sorry, I was fascinated, raptured with the reading while you were talking, and I was not paying attention.
So you like my connection though with the 37? It's feasible.
Well, there is the episode of Voyager 2 called The 37s,
Oh,
which is
nice.
about the
There's a
people abducted in 1937.
there's a ton of third Voyager references throughout Picard, which is really nice. It shows, I think, like, what the fan favorite Star Treks are, like, in terms of, like, popularity. Maybe not necessarily critically favorite, like a Rotten Tomatoes scenario here. But I do know that there's a lot of Voyager fans, and I started watching Voyager in the future past season 3, and I got excited because I actually I get why everyone loves Seven of Nine.
Right, you
She's a really
skipped you
cool
skipped
character.
some of the seasons, right?
Yeah, so like when seven of nine blew me away. I don't know. Did we talk to? Was that one of
She
our?
comes in episode season 4, I
That
think.
was the last episode. Wasn't that just the last
That
episode?
was
Is it?
last
It
week,
doesn't
yeah.
feel like that long a time. Does it feel that long in between episodes that I already have forgotten who I talked to, or is it the advanced
Well,
aromatic
you also
syndrome
do
of
like
it?
20 episodes, so a week.
I do. We're promising not to. We should. We have to talk to Evan about it, but who's going to be on Drunk Space Nine with us tomorrow? But we have to promise to only talk about Deep Space Nine. Do you want to try to do that, or do you
Tomorrow?
want to like, or just like yeah, tomorrow, or just if Picard comes up, it comes up.
Whatever comes up, comes up. What comes
I
up?
love, I love it. I love it. So, anyways, Hugh and Picard are like trying to figure out what's going on, and then when Soji pretty awesomely. I wish TNG had this kind of like availability of like I don't know how they do this, and like I know that like very keen eyes can catch all the CG, but for me, I'm watching it in like 4K, 6K resolution, and this show looks so beautiful. And when she's tearing through that floor, I was like stunned at how good it looked. Like it looked like sped up a little, but not in a like it was just
Mm.
really well done. And she tears through this floor, and I'm just like, damn, like Data would have done that. Like he could have done that. Like these are things that like I wish I'd seen on TNG. We get bulkheads being bent. That's kind of impressive now. It's not it's not anymore. Anyway, she starts falling. She starts like escaping at a high rate, and Hugh's like she's back on the map. Oh, because for a while she disappeared when
Right,
she was
because
in
she's
the
in the secret room.
meditation queue. Yeah, and that was why Narek could unfold his final foul deviousness, is because that room was a secret from the rest of the operation, which that's so interesting too to me. Like there's like the whole Hugh thing and what he's been doing all this time, and like how he's a citizen of the Federation, and like just there's it's just like I just like I just go crazy for this. I go ape shit for this stuff. It's so good. um are you worried about the coronavirus? I feel like
Great
you haven't even
segue.
you haven't even interrupted me one time.
I'm
All right, I'm
fascinated.
gonna
I'm
finish.
just fascinated because what you're praising right now, all the stuff you're just saying, I'm thinking, what is this board cube? Who owns it? Who runs it? How did they build
I
a
have
secret
idea.
room?
There's some
But
idea. Those are questions
how
that we're
are
getting
we
answers to.
6 episodes in and we still have no idea?
I love it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know for 12
What
episodes. I
is
want
you?
more. I want.
I,
You know what I love?
like,
I
nothing
you
makes
know
sense.
like
It's just shit happening for the hell of it. And then like
no, it's got
let's
all.
retroactively forget that Picard did the whole tormented by being a Borg thing already. We're gonna do it all over again now, really?
No, it's different this time. It felt really. It felt honestly though. It felt really different to me. If
The
we want to
only
talk
thing
about
I
that as
liked
the
was
big.
that shot where they lined up his face with Locutus's
That was
face while
amazing.
he's
That was such a
watching
good shot.
clips of the Next Generation. Like it's so bad. It reminds me of Encounter.
There were no
It
clip.
reminds me of Encounter
There,
at Farpoint when Riker comes onto the bridge and they're like, "Hey, go sit
but
down at
those
that computer
are.
and watch a recap of the whole episode's before." He's watching like the courtroom scenes with Q. It's like, who recorded that?
Hold on, I gotta do a gag. You inspired me. Hold on. Okay, here's my gag. Ruben, I am so cutest of
So
Borg.
cute. I like that. Oh,
I,
hello, the
I,
cutest.
I am so cutest of Borg, and I want you to know that resistance to my show Picard is futile. You will never stop watching it. You will watch it forever and ever and
You
ever.
cannot unsubscribe from CBS All
You cannot
Access.
unsubscribe from CBS.
You know you want
You
to
will
see
never do
season
it.
2 of Twilight Zone.
You do. Uh,
I watched Can't Hardly Wait. Remember that movie?
I
They
love
have it on CBS
that
All Access.
movie. That's crazy. I didn't know that. I
I
have to go
gotta
watch that
rewatch it.
movie.
It's been a long time.
In fact, I use that all the time when I'm like tweeting to Alex Kurtzman when he tweets that there's a new episode that's going to come out like tomorrow. I'm like, can't hardly wait. I feel like I feel like that's why I do it. I tweeted something. I don't think you've seen it yet because you would have come on in a different mood had you seen it. But I just tweeted something on Twitter. I twote.
He
Did you ever see
twatted.
that? I twatted. Hold on, I'll share what I'll share what I. Oh, here it is. Damn it. All right. I wrote. Okay. So I wrote, I haven't seen everything possible yet, but I've seen a lot, and I can sincerely say that Star Trek has never been better than it is right now. Personally, I haven't been this captivated by anything more than I am for Star Trek Picard. Okay, fight me. That's what it says on Twitter. That's like the theme of today. That's like the theme of the team. The team
That's
of
the theme,
today.
man.
The team. It would be the team, right?
That's the team.
So Hugh and Picard dash off to go find Daj, and she comes crashing down into another ward, and then he's like, holy shit, I gotta be like, I gotta convince her really quickly she's in danger again. So he's like, trust me, I knew your sister. Like, he shows her the necklace, and he's like, just come with me. They go off together. We get we get like that same vibe. Soji is almost exactly like how Daj was. She even asks the same question. She's like, do you know me, when he like says Soji, and she's like, do you
Right.
know me,
But she
like
doesn't
as if
get
she's
but she
programmed.
doesn't get the pictures of Picard in her head like her sister does.
No, I think I mean, okay, come on. If they flashed an image again of Picard, he's
No,
there
but
this
she
time.
should
It's
have.
different from.
Oh, I know.
No, but
Why
that's
do
what
I
I'm
know
saying.
who you are?
That didn't get to happen yet because he's there. Like, it's happening in real time. I don't know. This is now Imaginina territory here, but like, in my head canon, I just imagine all that's happening in her head, but she's trying to, it's a different situation because with Daj, her boyfriend got killed and then she fainted and an image of Picard came into her head.
Her
Here, Soji
boyfriend tries
activates
to
and the
kill
first,
her, and Picard's image doesn't
no,
pop in her head.
because she doesn't know until, or maybe it did. I don't know. Regardless, it's too soon. The time differential, you know what I'm saying? Like, Dodge had time to investigate and figure it out and find, and she saw him on the news report. Like, it's different. Like, Soji's still figuring it out, but she does trust him inherently. So you can assume there's some sort of programming that like makes her realize or recognize that it's Picard and that she should trust him. And we have to wonder why. But anyways, he goes off with her and Hugh reveals the location of the Borg Queen's chamber, I think it's called, like her area, her command hub. And then we get this cool like Stargate
Yeah, the
that and I
Psychonians.
remembered it from the Sicarians from
Yeah.
Voyager season 1, and I remembered it and I got really excited because I remembered, and then I felt sad but also somewhat pleased that they were assimilated because they were such dicks to the Voyager and Captain Janeway. So it was kind of a cool moment because it gave you an update about the state of the Delta Quadrant in a weird way, like where that even the Sicarians
Yeah,
have
the
now been
show
assimilated.
does wonders at making me wonder why, like ask questions because I'm like, so the Borg have this technology and they're not tormenting the entire galaxy with it?
But don't you remember? But don't you remember all the questions that came up in TNG season 1? Like, I don't know if you remember this specifically, but I remember talking with you and just a group of friends. Like, why are the phasers different now? Like, why is this happening? Where's Kirk? Where's Spock? Where's, like, all the questions were like flooding through our brains, the same kinds of questions. Like,
No,
I'm wondering all the time, constantly.
no,
Well, you might have been thinking of it differently, but I remember it like being the same. Like, it's the same vibe for me now that I had when I was a kid and TNG started, where I was like questioning a lot of things and I was like unsettled by it, and I wasn't sure. Like, I was definitely on the like fence about, like, I was loving it because it was beautiful, and again, this is what's captivating me. Like, me as an audience member personally, like, that's my hook, right? Is like if the show looks amazing to me, I'm gonna at least see it through. But beyond that, to me, this is way deeper because it's super personal. So it's I'm a unique, I'm an aberration of some sort that like Star Trek created, an anomaly, and I think you can attest to that. But regardless, like personally, I think that's what it reminds me of when you say that, when you're like, oh, it's getting me to ask all these questions and all that. It reminds me of the same kinds of vibes that I remember feeling for TNG when it came out, but especially for like DS9, I was angry at the. I don't know if you recall my anger at DS9, but I was really upset about like how dark it was, and like I was just like, Captain Cisco's damaged. He's not like a perfect captain, and like he yelled at my precious Picard, and like
Right.
there were like,
And now
so there were like a
now
lot
you're
of.
okay with Picard being a ruthless a-hole.
He's not totally there. Come
He
on, he's
totally
not
is.
totally there. Like
Totally
Patrick Stewart's
is.
playing it
Totally
really well in
is.
my opinion.
Not even
No, he's not a
critiquing.
ruthless asshole. He's trying to look. This is the sheer fact of it is that like let's assume I'm an android and I were to sacrifice myself to save you,
Mm.
Ruben. And you had an inkling 20 years later that like there's a possibility that something of me survived. I think this is like the same as how Kirk would go after Spock, and he does in Star Trek 3. I think this is like in a way that same vibe for Picard. It's like, yeah, it does seem ruthless at first, but like his chief concern is actually not anyone. He loves people and he tries to help people and he tries to be good, but like right now his chief concern is like what is going on here? Why is this happening? And why did Data paint a picture 20 years ago of this face? Like why is this in my life right now? Why did Sohail paint a sketch, like if I came back to you as like, you know, well, Soji is a good nickname for my. I'm Soji, Ruben. That's what you're rejecting. You're rejecting Sohail. You're rejecting your lifelong
I
friend.
would let you die at the hands
I
of the Vatujaj or whatever
the
the
John,
evil
but my point is that I think that Picard is. I do sense the same thing, and I'm not gonna lie. I am perturbed by the choices, both from the
I
writer.
just think that
It's
the
like
questions that you're talking about from TNG, I didn't have questions. I understood what was happening in the episode. In this, I have questions about everything because there's nothing makes sense, and not in a good mystery way. In a we're just making this shit up. We don't even know what it means really way.
I
Where
don't
there's been
know.
no building of anything. Like I don't know. We just have completely different. It's interesting how we just see things. Like to me, the look of the show is horrible
Really,
because
it's so terrible to
the
hear you
again
say that because
how
I feel
this
so
is how
strongly about it.
confusing the Borg ship is to me. The Borg ship is they're resuscitating Borg or reviving or
They're
whatever,
they're reclaim
helping right.
the Borg ship is so what the Romulans
But
so
half
what
the ship has no lighting whatsoever. Even some of the operating rooms, they're dark. But then the bedrooms are super bright
well
because
no here's
reason.
the no well no the reason is so that it looks great, but I'll tell you how it fits in.
Right.
But I'll tell you how it fits in though for me, and the reason I have no problem with it is because so what I'm seeing visually on from a visual level, and this is again I feel like where you're like I don't know what's going on, I'm like let me fill it in with some fake thing that like makes
See,
sense,
but
right?
that's not a good show.
But no, I
When you
don't.
have to do all that filling in, they're not doing their
But
job
I'm not
as a
okay. The
TV.
difference is it doesn't fatigue me. It excites me to fill the details in, and to me, that is a good show. When you're like asking questions and it excites you, and you're like creating
No,
like
no, no.
and you're
Asking
imagining.
questions
No, I'm
and
saying for
filling in
me,
story are two different things.
you have to rationalize
They're
certain.
not doing their work
We don't
of
know that
filling in their
we're gonna
story.
have this. Okay, we're gonna have this conversation again at the end of the season because I think there's gonna definitely be cliffhangers, but I think there's gonna be a satisfaction of some sort where a lot of
I
these
don't think
things
so.
are gonna be answered. Well, that's fun to find out. But
I don't think so.
what I will say is that like what I just from you and me, like I don't have a lot of insight into too many other people. Maybe just Humber and Sean. Maybe the difference is that where you're fatigued from having to wait for the show to reveal this stuff to you, and where you're like doubtful that if the information is even there. Like I think like what's happened to all of us is like we've been burned where we invest a little too much time and we go into our like imaginations and we start like thinking about things and then the payoff never comes, right? So you're kind of like fatigued from that. Whereas me for this show, the reason that it feels different to me is that I think for me, I'm just like excited about, like I have energy for it. Like the other than work and chores, I love cleaning. Other than work and and chores, this is all I think about. I like write notes about it. Like you can only see this little square of me right now, but I have like notes on my iPad. I draw. I'm like a kid again. I'm like a kid. This show's so exciting and I think about like what could be going on. And to answer your question about the dark and the light spaces, um I this part's a guess, but something happened and this Borg cube fell on the Romulan's lap. And I don't know when. They haven't done a flashback since 7 of 9, so they didn't do a flashback in this episode. It just went straight to the action, except for I guess you could call the dream a flashback, but it's not a real flashback because she was never a little girl. But anyways, the what was I even talking? Oh yeah, so the Borg cube lands on the Romulans' laps, and they decide, okay, well, this is great. It's not for they've investigated. Like I'm sure it was funny. Like first, the first Romulan ship to like encounter is like there's a dead Borg cube in our space. What should we do, Sub Commander? Uh, Shoot at it, and then they blew a huge hole into it, and they were like, oh shit, it's not responding. So I think that's what that big gash could be, or it could
Hmm.
explain that. um, Anyways, and then once they started investigating, they realized, oh, it's a dormant Borg cube. It's not communicating with with the collective, which is interesting. And all these Borg are ignoring us. They're not doing anything. They're just like they're sitting in their recharging stations on a endless cycle, which we've seen before too, because that's the loop that they had to put them into or something like that in TNG in order to get Picard to steal Picard out of the collective, and then he shuts down the
Sleep,
Borg. Yeah, sleep,
sleep
sleep.
data.
So all of these Borgers in that state, right? That's so good. Wait, hold on. Is it still there? Do it again.
Sleep data. Sleep.
Sleep, Soji. Sleep.
Go ninja mode, Soji.
Basically. So they start to reclaim the cube, meaning the Romulans start to tear down the technology and probably doing awful things like tearing apart the Borg because they're Romulans. Like they don't have the same like humanitarian type ideals as the Federation, perhaps. And after the supernova, when the Romulan Empire collapsed, my guess is that this thing became like a part of the Romulan Free State. And now the Romulans were like, okay, well, I guess we can invite the international community to come and help investigate with us. And then maybe someone discovered what was going on. They were like, we can reclaim these Borg. And then, Hugh got it. There's a 20-year or potentially 15-year story there that led to the state of events, which is that he was in charge of like this sort of like humanitarian effort, or I hate calling it that. What would be a better word than humanitarian for like the future when you have so many different species?
Speciesitarian.
He's doing a
Xenotarian.
he's doing a good effort to help people. It just
Human.
doesn't sound.
Listen to yourselves. Human rights.
I know it's so racist. It's so racist. But but those Romulans are pretty sneaky, let me tell you. Anyways,
Sneaky bastards.
sneaky bastards. Um so Hugh becomes part of this, reclamation project, but the Romulans are still pretty ruthless about it. Like everything we've observed for the last 6 episodes that you complain it's taken so long to get here. But for me, I've been watching. For me, I've been relishing in seeing this unfold. And there's this cool moment where Picard is being shown around the reclamation facility, and there's this one young person who's like really gnarly. And what Hugh does is he take because it's a terrible procedure to take these implants out, like it creates scarring and all this stuff. And
Mhm.
so they actually did a pretty good. I mean, they healed him so that his eye was at least flat. like he still looked monstrous, if you will,
Right.
is the idea, but he looked, passable. Like this young man could probably go out and live a decent life and reintegrate with like humanoid society. That's a better word, humanoid um society. So, he can't, but who could ever hang with the Tholians anyways? They burn you. Like a Tholian on a date, could you imagine? Like you would just die from the
Only
radiation.
on a date.
Like,
Sounds like the start of
like
sounds like the start of a joke.
but anyways, we get this moment where I think Picard is like going through the ward, and that was really touching for me. And like I say this sincerely, you're probably gonna laugh at me, but like it was very touching to me and therapeutic because this felt like a continuation of Picard's like journey with the Borg, because he goes from being assimilated to like wanting to wipe them all out to having to tolerate them, uh in first contact, and to kind of feel for them because of Lily, who reminds him of his an ancient human, reminds him of his own humanity because she's not as caught up in all the drama. And then here he carries that with him, and now he goes the furthest step, like, which is I think the path to redemption in a way for himself, perhaps. And I think it's an interesting story, and he sees this like horrible thing going on where even with the humanoiditarian efforts, it's still very cruel, and these are still looked at as like, Borg, and rightfully so. I mean, because their collective, still attached to the collective brothers and sisters, don't give three fucks about being reclaimed. They're coming to like assimilate everything. Um, so I loved all that, and then I also love. Wow, you're just looking at me with so much love in your eyes right now.
No,
I
no,
don't know.
I just like I don't want to, it's just like
You don't want to rain on my parade.
yeah,
Is that
yeah. I
what
mean,
it
you love the show, and
is?
you know me, I'm not really a hater. I just like if
Are
you
you
love it,
gonna
you love
keep?
it. I watch
Are you gonna
Sharknado, you
keep?
know.
Are you?
I love Sharknado. I can't really.
Why would you ever compare? Why would you bring Sharknado into this? That's like
Well, I'm just saying
I would like.
everybody likes things
Could
that
you?
somebody else doesn't like.
Right. Okay,
You know.
but you're gonna
Well,
watch
everything
episode
you're saying to
7.
me is like I'm like all I see is, hey, let's do Picard's tormented by Borg again, even though we covered that in like three
It doesn't
episodes
feel.
and a
It feels.
movie and
It
a
feels
whole
so
movie about
easy.
it.
Ruben, I can show you the world, shining, shimmering,
Him and Hugh
splendid.
hug like they're best fucking friends or something. I'm like, what is this?
Hugh, when
They act
Hugh,
so 21st century.
when Hugh
Everyone
first
across the board,
see
by the way.
when Hugh okay, so I actually have a Trek explanation about that. There is a, by the way, there is a YouTube channel called Trek Explanation. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah, well, I've
So
seen the handle around.
am I Trek explaining? Is that like mansplaining? Am I Trek explaining here? That's what I'll do. I'll Trek explain to you, Ruben. But I think that like what Seven of Nine and Hugh show, and I watch all the extra footage. So like I watch
Right,
Wesley's show. I almost Will Wheaton's show.
what's
So
this?
so, so Will Wheaton's show. And so one thing they were talking about is that like the reason that both Hugh and Seven of Nine don't really the reason they act very human, is because they've been kind of they're people are after them for their parts, so they've had to kind of figure out ways to, either emulate. Maybe they don't have real emotions, or or they're still very much like analytical, but they've had to learn and they are smart enough to do this kind of thing, but they've had to emulate the behavior of humans. Like they have to emulate emotions and things like that. So both of them have like Hugh doesn't just hug Picard because, you know, I think that's what he's kind of like become. He's learned how to like show affection and show emotion and things like that. And Picard, that must be overwhelming for Picard, because imagine if Picard expects to see a very cold, also the last time they saw each other, Hugh was pissed at Picard. He was not happy at all. Like what Lore had done to him and his like, kind of disattached. They were like the original. I wonder where all those Borg are. Have they been killed too? Has Hugh seen as much murder, or did they join? Hugh mentions that he is, maybe Seven and Hugh have two different stories. Hugh mentions he's a citizen of the Federation. Seven seems to be some sort of outlaw or renegade. So I don't know. It's very interesting, but that's what I got from that. So did I guess? Should we end the show? Should we guess the ratings and all that stuff? No, I'm just
We
kidding.
never did
I'm just
the.
kidding. I want to hear. I want to hear more. I want to hear more.
Let me peruse my notes here and see what funny little gems I can pull out. Oh, like I said, those
Oh,
mom and sister, brother, sister. Jesus Christ, it's awful.
I
Rios
really.
is
I
playing soccer.
That was
Why not
hot.
on the holodeck
Sorry.
on a field?
It's his
Why
ship.
in
He's
their
used to like
warehouse
running.
ship?
They should be very pleased that he put pants on or shorts on for them because that's his ship. He's used to running around naked, I bet, on his ship. Can you imagine if you just like happened to like fly by at the right moment at slow speeds and you're like examining and you're like, "Whoa, why is there a naked guy playing soccer in what did you think of Rios and Girardi hooking up? What do you think of
It's just
Girardi?
random.
It was
It's just
random, but
completely
oh, we
random.
established this last time.
What is she gonna be
You're
pregnant at the end of the season now with Rios's hologram baby?
People are hooking up way more casually. You're saying on this show than they were on
It's
next because I feel like
Firefly.
Riker just
It's Star Trek
didn't
Firefly.
Riker didn't Riker hook up like in the second episode. Like didn't everyone hook up on the naked
Riker
male?
hooked up a
Like
lot because he was like the Kirk, and then
so, what if
Picard hooked up.
Rios is like the Kirk?
Picard hooked up what Vaj and I guess technically
We don't even know if Picard actually ever hooked up with anyone. No,
no, it
I
was
think it's safe to
with
say
Vaj.
he definitely hooked up with Vaj, and then he also hooked up with his friend from the academy.
Maybe we're gonna find out that Daj is the daughter of Vaj and Data. Because why not? Because I still don't even understand what Soji Daj is. She's synthetic but flesh and blood.
Yeah, I don't understand yet either, inconclusive, but my
They're
best
never gonna
guess is
answer
that
that.
what you just
I
said.
guarantee you, they're never gonna
But we
answer
talked
that.
about the I felt like you were satisfied with that guess of mine about like growing a clone around a
It
cybernetic
just doesn't make
brain.
sense. No, I mean it's right. The cybernetic brain clone. Fine, fine. Let's just forget about it.
You're like, don't remind me.
No, I mean, yeah. Now think about it again. And hold on, let me smoke some weed.
I think
I
I'm,
wrote down,
I'm
"Yay, Star Wars hyperspace," because they're
again.
just obsessed with it. I don't know why. Why can't? What was wrong
That's
with
the
just the
new warp.
stars? What was just wrong with stars?
Warp changed from okay. So in the original series, it was just the stars going really fast, and you heard the engine noise acceleration, right? Then in the movies, we got the uh where space would actually warp in front of you, and then it would be moving very quickly, but it would still be stars,
All
right?
right,
And then TNG was like they took away all the effects except for the stars would like stretch, kind of like the beginning of hyperspace, but then you would just go into
right. That's it. They would
fast
just
stars.
yeah.
You did see anomalies like a moment of this, and then you would break the warp threshold, but there was no like constant stream of warp. Yeah, I mean, I kind of love it though. I like seeing.
It's just a nitpick for sure. I just think it's funny
Yeah,
because I'm like, it
yeah.
looks just like Star Wars hyperspace except a different shade. Like they got
Star
they
Wars
took
hyper.
the
So this feels like, just to be really specific though, this feels like little streams that are like wiggling in front of you, and Star Wars hyperspace is a tunnel that's spinning and also streams that are wiggling in front of you. You know what I mean? It's like a tunnel
right.
of fun.
Fun.
Tunnel of fun. All right. So
Oh, Raffi.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that every time she's supposedly high or whatever, she does something important for the show. So what is the show trying to tell me? The first
It's
time
trying to
when
tell you
she
that.
looks up Free Cloud, she's smoking weed and she figures out Free Cloud. This time she's drunk and high and figures out and gets
Well,
the
I think the state.
improbable go ahead to land on this board cube, even
So
though the
yeah.
Federation told Picard effing hubris to ask for something, but we're gonna ask this captain to get you clearance, but they have to. Like, it doesn't make sense. It does not make any sense. This is a connected world. The Federation would immediately know, Starfleet would immediately know that Picard's trying to get on this port cube when they know they did not want him to go anywhere at all in the first place.
All right, okay,
Ship's there.
you unloaded a lot of you unloaded a lot of stuff. Can I? Okay, I'd like to.
Nerd rage.
Remember, I'm pleading for my rating, so I want to make sure I get at least close to that. If you go above my rating, I'll be so happy. But to start with that, I don't think Rafi's problem is drugs or alcohol. Just like anyone who abuses substances, it's usually not the problem. Like the drugs and the alcohol are not the problem. It's something else. She's fucked up in other ways, and she uses drugs and alcohol to escape from that reality, and she definitely abuses it. I can attest as someone who's smoked weed at work because my boss kind of like was like, you should try this. It'll help you work better in small quantities in a controlled environment. Like amazing to help you keep your focus on a task.
Sure.
So like I had to edit thousands of pictures sometimes in a day, which is a lot of editing, as you know, and it helps you to just kind of stay in this like mode. So I can attest to, and I wasn't wasted. I wasn't like,
Well, but that's where it doesn't make sense.
well, well, hang on. So, but but
They're trying to
having
have
been
it
drunk
both
before,
ways. She's a
having
mess
been
drug
drunk,
addict, but she's also good at everything she does. So what? Drugs are
but
good then. I should be an
but she's not.
alcoholic.
No, she's not as good. If she were in her full game, if she weren't as encumbered as she is, she would do even better. She's like
Well,
only
what
working
better?
at
She's
probably
done
like,
everything she's needed to do.
we don't know that. Like, and she's kind
The
of
the
not
two
done
missions she
everything.
had to do was get the ship for Picard, got it. Found
Okay,
Free Cloud, got it.
there are definitely, so in real life, and we can argue about the merits of do future people mimic this behavior, continue to mimic this behavior, but in real life, there are functional alcoholics who do great jobs all the time, but they're like ruining their liver and they're ruining their lives, and once the job is done or once the task is over, then they're just like blundering, and terrible and like total messes. And I know because I've seen these people in real life. So now the argument is, should Raffi be that way? I like it. It's cathartic for me because I can relate a little bit. I'm not a functioning. Thank goodness I'm not an alcoholic. At least I don't think so. I'm open to scrutiny. So if anyone thinks I am, please come and examine my life. I will open my doors to you. But the danger is there because we all can slip into that place of abusing a substance. And in her, they're using alcohol and snake lamp. Well, no, it's
Leaf.
snake leaf as the thing. So I guess weed doesn't survive into the future. That's sad to me because I'm a proponent, and so is Sir Patrick, of legalizing marijuana. So say la vie. Something happens. I guess synth weed, would that be? Ooh,
It's
synth
weird.
weed.
I like that.
Oh, synthwana.
The Wanna Wanga.
Synthwana.
Whoa,
All right.
whoa,
Anyways, my
whoa.
point. I guess my point is that Raffi's fucked up for a whole different set of reasons. But the alcohol is exacerbating. I agree, and I think maybe there is an argument for like, is it realistic? I think it is, but maybe not for you because maybe you have a
It's
different
not so
view
much
on
as
it.
realistic that it's irrelevant. It's just like in the last episode when they say, "Oh, we got to be careful. This guy can smell lies or whatever. Here's this pill that'll counteract it." And you counteracted it. Absolutely no
But that's
tension, no
like,
point in even bringing it up because you just posed the problem that you solved immediately. So, from a story point of view, it's pointless. So, they're
but it's
telling us
interesting
she's a mess,
because
but
they
they're not
are
showing us she's a mess. She's done everything that she's needed to do. Wow.
because she's a functioning alcoholic, and I would say a functioning depressive would probably be a more accurate term for what Rafi is. She's a severely depressed person
Right,
when
but the
she's not when
depression
she's
hasn't affected the story. It's just her crying in
it
her room.
has.
Then she comes out and does what
Well,
she needs to do.
okay,
There's
but
there's
sometimes,
no
okay,
development
okay,
of it.
fair, but that's what I'm saying is, to me that is realistic, because a lot of people, the depression is not affecting the mission, their work, their livelihood. People live with depression and are total wrecks. I don't know. My point is, I think that Rafi is a great character for a lot of people who are going through hard times to relate to. I think it's a great way that, like, just going by the numbers, if you will. I've always been told that the statistic of, like, single parenthood is very high, and that, like, there are a lot of struggles with poverty. And, like, again, we've already established that I don't think poverty in the future, it's redefining poverty in a sense, because, like, it, poverty must exist on some level, but it's a poverty of spirit rather than a poverty of resources, if you will. You know what I mean? So, like, that is what Raffi represents to me ultimately, is this, like, character who, not only is she's impoverished because she's lost so much of her spirit. Like, she is mimicking, like, someone who is a happy utopian, but she's not really a utopian. She's a mess. Like, her life is just, like, you know, terrible. And so but she can function in that world. She can do her job when she needs to, and then when she doesn't need to do her job, she's just, I don't give a fuck. I hate you all, or I love you all. She's manic. Like, there's a lot of things going on with Rafi, and that's what I kind of like about her.
You just described the writers, basically.
It's possible, but come on. That's who's, like,
Oh,
putting, that's who's
now she has a sun side quest for no reason. Okay, sun side quest over.
but that's, like, what I mean. Like, I might be describing the writers. I'm sorry if I touch them really deeply, but that's true. That's not an. I don't see that as an argument, because if I were writing for Star Trek, I would 100% pour myself into my writing as well. And I feel I would be tempered and not overdo it. But I don't know, if I were writing for Star Trek and you didn't know, I would love to do that as an experiment. By the way, I would love to, like, if Star Trek were willing. I don't think they'd be willing to throw, like, 200 million at me, but
Well, to
but
let
if
you
they
write
were
in a
willing,
movie.
I would love it if they let me write a movie, and then under a pseudonym, and then I'd get you to critique it with me on this show, and you hate it, and then I'm like, Ruben, and you criticize the writer the most. The writer's like, you're like, that's the person I hate the most, and at the end, I'm like, but it's me, it's me, Ruben, it's
And like, well, I
me.
love you, but your movie
Um,
sucks.
I think it's just funny that we're so split. We're, like, so divided. Like, not like in a friendly sense. We're not divided at all. Like, I love you, and we should have dinner
Well,
soon. But but just in our opinions, it is funny how divisive this is. And I agree that, like, TNG didn't feel that way, because we were asking questions,
no, the
but we were on
stories
the
had a
same
flow and a
page.
setup and payoff like a story is supposed to have.
They
This show
they
has
were the
Picard
only.
asking for the permission to get on the Borg ship. That's one thing. Gets the permission. Okay, sure. Again, no drama, no tension, no effort to get
There
it.
was a lot of
No effort
drama.
to
There
get
was a
it.
lot of
It was just
drama.
a drunk
No, it
Raffi
took a lot
asking
of.
her ex-girlfriend for it.
She lost.
But
She
then he can
lost her
beam
friend
onto
over
the
it.
Borg ship wherever the hell he wants. There's no protocol for getting onto the Borg ship. You got permission, you can beam wherever the hell you want. That's how the
I think
Romulans
that's.
operate, really? Like,
I think they beamed him. They beamed him to a rendezvous point, and then he strayed off
it's,
from it. If you recall, they say
I guess I
it's
don't.
true.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again
They
to
say
be sure.
they
But
yeah. See, that's the problem, is that when I okay. What we're gonna have to do is, like, you're gonna have to come on. You're gonna have to start coming on the Saturday discussions after you've watched it at least one more
I
time,
can't. I can't watch it again.
because you're like, I can't.
I
I just
almost
can't
stopped
do
the
it.
episode halfway through. I was just like, I can't take this. It's been a
You're so,
half hour
it's so
and
funny to me.
nothing's happened.
The
And,
explanations are all there. So
and the captain slept with the psycho doctor. Why? Why? Just because
that
reasons. Oh, and then it's like we made out. Oh, I'm so messed up. We made out again. Let's go have sex. Like what? This
but
is
you have
bad
to
soap
think about it,
opera.
though. From Rios's perspective, we don't get we don't he doesn't know that she killed.
No, I
No one
know.
knows
Sure.
she killed. Yeah, so he's just like, RTF. Is that the
No,
word? Yeah,
DTF.
RTF. He's just, oh, DTF.
DTF.
It could be ready to it could be
Yeah,
ready to
sure.
as well.
Fair enough.
He's DTF or RTF. Um aren't you RTF all the time? No, you've lost that loving feeling. Is that what's happened? Is it gone?
Only if Janet tells me that
Like,
she murdered somebody. And then I'm like, ooh.
oh my god, honey, you're exciting
Mm,
me.
I'm an evil character, but that wasn't broadcasting today with that freaking. It's terrible. It's so bad.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this because it was another one of my favorite parts. We'll move on from Raffi here and talk about Elnor. I just loved all the whole Elnor
I
story
can't stand
throughout
that
here.
character. I can't stand that character. I
No.
hate everything that he does in this episode. The
Oh,
why
yeah.
does he stay behind? I don't know.
Because he
Reasons.
can't go with him.
So we can have the cool
Hell,
the cool
they
shot of the door closing on him and Hugh. What's Hugh gonna
they
do?
say
Hugh's like a pudgy
when
middle-aged man in
no, he's not.
cosplay.
He's like he's super fit. What are you
No,
talking
he's okay.
about?
I give him that. I don't want to insult the actor. He is,
Wow, he is
but
very
like,
fit and he's
what
good
was the
looking
point of all
too,
that?
in my
They could have
opinion.
escaped.
Oh my goodness.
They could have all escaped except for Hugh. Hugh could have hidden the thing because the thing was like comes out of the floor, and then just be like, "Oh, I don't know what's up, guys. I'm just checking something here." And that's it. That's it.
I did.
I'm staying
I will
behind.
agree with.
Why? You're not fighting. There's nobody here. You're not fighting anyone. Just go in with the teleporter.
I think I think they all four should have gone through, just to be clear. But then the Romulans could have followed them through as well. So
Right.
that's
One
kind
of them
of
had to stay behind
I
to
get
close
that.
the
Yeah,
thing,
stay behind.
which should have been Hugh because he runs the place. I think maybe or
Well, no,
something.
no. So they establish another cool thing, which is Picard remembers the layout of the Borg ship more or less from when he was a part of the collective, and Hugh says this ship is a little different from what you have because he'll only have the memory. What's cool about the Borg is like, let's say this Borg ship it adapted Sicarian technology, right? The Borg ships send a signal out to all the other to the rest of the collective, and immediately the ship just upgrades to the newest standard.
Right.
Like that's what's amazing about a Borg ship, and you see that happening on this Borg ship. It's in flux, which is interesting also, but you see it kind of trickling. Like the parts, the walls sometimes trickle, or a piece will go from here to there, right? So when Picard was connected to Borg ship, it was all tubes and things like this. This resembles more like the Voyager look of the Borg. As I've skipped ahead,
Yeah.
I've seen like it was a smoother look. It
Yeah. Yeah.
looks like a progression from that. So I love that about it. But that's the thing is that like this shit he says it'll take me a minute to hide he has to stay behind for sure because he says to Elnor it'll take me a minute to hide the chamber once again. So it means that this chamber could like potentially move across. That's a cool idea that like you could reconfigure and it's true they established that in TG. You don't see it looking as cool as this, but they're always
It's
like,
like that.
oh,
Yeah. It's
Borg
like that
ships just
room in Harry Potter.
right, the room of requirement, but they can reconfigure themselves. It does it in a more technological way, and I almost think the design here is like techno Geiger in a way. It's like I like that about it. It's like doing all these things. But so Hugh definitely has to stay behind. I do agree that Elnor should have gone through the portal with Picard, and so I'll give that. I'll concede. I concede to you that I do
And they're
agree that
dead
Hugh could have fended.
because neither one of them has ranged weapons. So the minute the Romulan guards come around the corner,
No,
the Eldor with
those
his
are
little sword, he's gonna be like,
let me tell.
"Ah!"
I have I have faith of the heart because those are the Tal Shiar on their way, and the Kuat Milat are the mortal enemies of the Tal Shiar. The Kuat Milat would not outdate themselves against the Tal Shiar. They have some crazy shit going on to
He has a
counteract
sword,
the
my friend. He's
best.
dead. And
I
knowing
know
this show,
it's gonna
he'll
be.
show his eyeballs getting gouged out in the next episode. Ah! Ah! Ripping out Leonor's tongue. Romulego's his tongue. Ah!
Liberate tutte me
It's
exitus
like a
et feris.
20-minute death scene for the elf.
It's are you saying it's like Event Horizon? It's like Event Horizon type of gore. Did you see Event Horizon in the
Yeah,
theater?
yeah, yeah.
I couldn't stand it. I
No,
thought
I
I
didn't
had
like it in the
seen
theater
you,
either.
you know how they say the Daj Jadvad have like a secret that would blow your mind and make you crazy? That's what watching that movie was like for me. I think I was like, if I ever see this movie again, I'll go
I think
nuts.
that's what
Like
the
I'll
show's
go
gonna be.
into
They're gonna reveal the secret in episode 10, and it's gonna be like.
we should live watch it together and record
Yes.
a live reaction to episode 10. Are you down to do it? Don't watch it. I won't watch it either.
I'll wake up
And
at
we
3 in the
live
morning.
watch it. You do
I'll
it?
do it.
I'll take the day off. I'm going to
I almost did
calculate
it
and see
today
if I can take
because
the.
I had a
You
slow
did?
day today, so I was like, I could actually screw up my whole sleep pattern. And
That's funny. I anyways, I've done all the Trek explaining I can about
what
Hugh
was
and
the
the
other one?
Borg and all that.
Logan.
I
What's it?
think I've
Captain
saved
Rios
Elnor. Yeah.
got the shrapnel pulled out. Not a scar on him. How long has it been? We don't know. There's really no sense of time on this show. Has it
I
been a
love it.
week?
I
Has it
love
been
it
a
all.
day?
I
Has it been
love
a
it.
month?
I love the magic. I love the magic realism which Chabon does a little bit in his novels. So I guess it's a stylistic difference between us, but I really like some of the mystery impossible box type stuff. But all right. I think we're exhausting our discussion here. I think you've do you have any more notes or any more
I could go
complaints? Because
on.
I
I
feel
could go
like
on
you
forever, but no, we should end the
all
show.
right.
We should end the show.
Before we end, I forgot to mention that the same person at work who may or may not be a male or a female, but should you ever stop by my job, you could meet them. But they were asking about your wound, so I think we should give our audience because I think if one person's thinking
Well,
about it, probably like more people are thinking about it. So we should give an update to the audience about what's going on with
it's been an interesting
your wound.
journey. It
How are you?
started. It started
Can I
on.
can I say something?
Uh
Your complexion looks normal, like great again. For your if you look back on the Starfleet videos of old, you're looking a little pale around the beginning
Oh, really?
of the
I mean, I'm eating way
yeah.
better than you,
I
so.
yeah, you look great. So you don't look green like I do.
And I hired a makeup person for when I come on the show.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
I sit in the
I'm
chair for
so
an hour.
honored.
Oh, I do want to say. I do want to share my one theory about Picard that answers a lot of questions I have about the show. Not the story itself, but just the production. Which is,
The
I think
production.
they paid Patrick Stewart a boatload of money to come back, and then they said, "Oh, this is all we have to make the show.
See, I disagree because I think the show looks fantastic.
Let's
But
do
what
the
I would
best we
love
can, guys."
I'm going on record as saying this. I would love it if Patrick Stewart became the first performer to accept $1 billion to continue a role. He says roughly he'll do 3 seasons. I want fucking 10 seasons of Picard, and I would be willing to.
Excuse me.
I think I think Patrick Stewart should be the first $1 billion actor. I would love for him to have that honor in his lifetime because people make a big deal about that. Like, isn't Tom Cruise currently the highest paid
No, it's The
actor
Rock.
in Hollywood? Oh, a Star Trek
The
alumnus.
Rock, yeah.
That's an
The Voyager
honor. Oh
episode
wow.
Arena.
How much does The Rock roughly? No one knows the real numbers, but how much does The Rock roughly
I
get
don't know. Let me
paid
look it
per
up. It's
per per picture?
probably the 30 or 40 millions or something.
Well, since the Star Trek alumnus already holds the record, then I'm happy with that. But I would love it if Patrick Stewart became the highest paid per episode actor in history for a while. Like it lasts like 20 years. So I
He
would like
got
him.
23.5 million up front for Jumanji 2. A
Whoa.
healthy back end deal that provides him a cut of the profits, 15%. Wow.
I'm all for Patrick Stewart becoming a billionaire because I think he would do a lot of good stuff with his money. He wouldn't just keep it all for himself. So I would like to propose here on Starfleet Boy that Patrick Stewart be paid the most ever an actor has ever been paid and should last for like
And the
20 years.
meeting's going
So
to go
I
something like
propose
this. Jim, how's it going? Oh, thanks for coming in, Patrick. I just want to talk to you. We want to offer you 10 more
$1
seasons of
billion.
Picard for $1 billion. Fuck yes.
I love it. Yes. I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like
Will you
so
do it?
confused. I was like, "What's your?"
Fuck and yes. Thank you very much.
And I would like to petition for, if you know, if the show's gonna last for 10 years, if you guys think you'd want to give to, I don't know if I'm a writer level, but Ruben for sure is a writer level person. So you could I could just, what would I do? Executive produce on a
You
show,
could be
bring the coffee,
cinematographer.
cinematic. Oh, I
You
could do
could
that.
make
Yes, I would
that
love to.
good.
Oh, oh my god. But then you'd complain about my cheap cinematography and my lens
Yeah.
flares because I am partial to lens
I don't
flares.
think I, don't,
But
I think you'd
anyways,
make a better something better than a warehouse spaceship.
interesting.
Although I guess that would be the production
Yeah. So,
designer, but whatever.
but I would like to make it into the Guinness Book of World Records for the highest paid coffee boy in history. So,
At
like,
fifteen
I would
dollars
love
an
it.
hour.
No, I would love it if I got paid. Let's just throw a number out, because we'd still do Starfleet Boy. We'd have to fund it, and the production had to go up a little bit. So I would say, I would love to do coffee for all 10 seasons of Starfleet Boy. I know how to make cafe cubano with espumita.
Ooh.
Like, I'm very good at that. I'm good at a lot of different coffees, and I would like to be
And tea.
paid. Let's just say,
And tea. You can make tea
for
too.
each season. A season lasts like a year, right?
What do you mean?
Like a season, they film for a
Yeah,
year, right?
roughly,
Is
yeah.
that to make a season? So per season, my asking price for Coffee Boy to Star Trek Picard is $350,000 a year. It's
For
not
a
bad,
coffee
right?
boy, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Coffee tea.
And then you could be a writer on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know what your asking price is. You
So
can
writers,
negotiate
I'll
that when they
probably
call
make
you,
like
Ruben.
50,000 a year because we're writers.
I'll
No
help
one loves
you.
us.
I'll help you out.
Uh,
I'll make sure I'll create a nonprofit organization that
oh my
helps
god, I couldn't even
you
imagine if
to.
they offered me like, Ruben, would you like to write for Picard? I'd be like,
You
we're
better
gonna
say
have to talk
yes.
about
That's all.
this. What exactly can I not do?
No, you're.
What are the rules
I
to
love
your
that you
Star
asked.
Trek?
Riven, to your own argument, clearly there are no rules. You could do whatever the fuck you want. So you would be the freest writer on the staff. Like, according to your critique of the show, no one cares,
I
and they're
would
just
kill
doing
I
whatever
would
the
kill
fuck
off
they
the elf in
want.
my first episode.
No, they wouldn't let you do that. You're not a head writer. You'd come in at the lowest level, right? You'd be the guy that reads and checks for like tonality for at first. You'd be like, you'd offer advice. Well, I don't think the tone now. I can't change your words here, Mr. Shaban, because you're a god. But the tonality perhaps is different. That's where you'd start out. No, but to give what seems to be a success story, the writer of this episode is on Twitter,
Oh yeah.
and this is his second writing thing ever, and he's only like 37 years old. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's where he gets the. No, he's younger than that. He was born in 1985, so whatever age you are, if you were born in 1985. And he's done a lot of miscellaneous crew
Who's
work according to
35?
IMDb, and he's done some acting, and this is his first writing gig, and he wrote this episode. And I'd say for a junior, if we can call him that, because he doesn't have a lot of credits under his belt, for an entry level writer, I would say that this was pretty solid in my opinion as a debut for a writer, and also pretty impressive that they're giving someone this kind of responsibility on a show of this weight. In my opinion, he's like this is a show of weight, but you know, not in your opinion.
I
You're
don't.
like, fuck the right.
I would like to say, oh, you got a page jumper poster. Awesome. I just noticed it. The
What's
page
that?
jumper.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Uh,
That you can see
I
that.
always
That's
have.
cool.
Yeah, like I do. I used to review movies. I don't do it anymore. But one of the reasons I stopped is because I find it unfair to any position in a movie unless it's like a glaring problem that it's like, okay, it's obvious the cinematographer had no idea what he was doing or something. I find it hard
Right.
because like for
You're
instance, like critiquing editing is really hard because you don't know what footage an editor had to work with. So he might
right, and you
be,
pointed that out
yeah.
before
I've
too.
so I don't like to say it's just purely the writing, but yeah, no, I wouldn't say the writing. They couldn't afford writers,
Well,
so they gave a rookie a chance. So I'm happy for him.
I always try to. I always try to. I always try. By the way, I may have gotten your story wrong. Maybe you are an accomplished writer, and IMDb has the wrong information. So Nick Zayas, if you happen to be listening, please let us know if we got that right. But yeah, everything you said I agree with. I just find it hard to critique when love is involved, and unfortunately for this one, like there's so much love involved for Picard when it comes to me, and so I'm a bad critic. But I can at least try to trek explain where you might have questions, which is good.
That's fun.
um it is fun, and also just talking to you. But you didn't finish giving us your update on your wound. Was it
Oh,
too personal a
no, no,
question?
no. The wound is. I mean, I'm off the machine,
Okay.
and the wound's very tiny now. I don't. It's something like 3 centimeters long by a centimeter wide, so it's really small now. So I don't have a nurse coming anymore. I
Nice.
take care of it myself. I'm able to shower like a normal human again.
If you could choose a nurse from all of Star Trek that you know of, or a doctor to treat you, let's just say that, like a doctor or a nurse. Let's say a nurse. Like Nurse Ogawa, Nurse Chapel.
Ogawa was going to be my
Like.
answer. Yeah.
Oh, really? Nurse
So then
Ogawa
we
would
can
be
maybe
your
have a
nurse.
little
That's
like fling
awesome.
because she's so cute.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Nurse Ogawa would be so pleased. I want to see her again. Where's Nurse Ogawa? Is she the first
She's
officer or the
probably
past
like
steward? I
homeless now. She got booted out of Starfleet. She got hit with a meteor, and now she's deformed.
So I want to say something. I think I don't know. Are you on Instagram? I forget. You are, right?
Yeah, yeah. Our Martian 76.
Michael Shab- Michael Chabon's been answering respectful questions, and
Yeah.
he's answered some tough
They don't
ones. Have
like
you
my
seen
kind of
this on
questions.
his? No, you should try. I think you're
Oh yeah.
I think you're respectful. But I asked a question. Where's the Enterprise? If you're allowed to tell us, and he answered, and he said, we asked ourselves that every single day. So they're thinking about these things. We don't know what they're going to do with it, or if it even will come
All
into
right.
play. Like maybe they're saving, the Enterprise for season
Or for
two
the
or whatever. But
finale,
they,
and then
I
Picard
like.
becomes the captain of it. Riker steps down from
Yeah.
captain to being number one again.
Michael Chabon also explained why he's stepping down as showrunner. A lot of controversy was a flurry on YouTube about him being fired and Alex Kurtzman being fired, and he wants to focus on his own show that he's doing with his wife called Cavalier and Clay. And you know what I'm thinking?
It's
Like,
based on
you
his
just
book.
ran a fucking season. Yeah, you ran a fucking season of Picard. Yeah, go do that job. It's cool. You have the right to quit after one season. You did a
Yeah,
good job.
step on the
So
wreckage you're
like,
leaving and get to the next step.
it's not wreckage. It's so good. Michael Chavone. For my part, it's brilliant. You're doing a great job. It might be wreckage to another person, but it could be the wreckage that you step on as showrunner after you've graduated from junior writer on the staff. So
I'll take the job if
I'm
they're
hoping for that.
offering. I'll take it.
So here we've established my role is so CBS, Michael Chabon, Alex Kurtzman, whoever this gets to that can make this happen. Maybe Sir Patrick Stewart. Maybe I know that Gates McFadden perhaps sometimes listens to the show. Maybe Sir Patrick does as well. I'm hoping LeVar Burton listens. I love LeVar Burton, and I would love. He does a podcast too, by the way. So does Jonathan Del Arco. So if any of you are listening, I'd love to serve you coffee. I'm really good at it. And tea, as Ruben said. Also, I make great cocktails. No lie. Just saying
It's true.
there is, like right now, it's Starfleet Boy After Dark. We could have Picard After Dark. And we could have a party, like to wind down just before everyone Ubers home safely. But three 350K a year for my artisanal coffee, and Ruben wants to come in as a junior. He's although he could come in, I think, as like a staff, an accomplished writer based on my, as an endorsement from the coffee guy. Like Ruben should come in at like a probably like at a higher level staff member. I think he'd be dedicated. He would stay on for several years. You wouldn't lose him to another show for like maybe 3 or 4 years. And if you're really exciting him, he'll stay on for the whole
I'll put
run
an F bomb in every
of the
script.
show. So I think it's safe to start you at like, above whatever you said. Let's start you at like $80,000. But if you have to come in at 50, you'll do it, right? Like you'll do it
50
at like
sounds good.
whatever they offer. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. This is it. Hopefully they're listening. We're so delusional. Anyways,
Hold on, I'm getting a call.
this is, if nothing else,
What? CBS?
if nothing,
What? Hello?
wow. If nothing else, this is a record of our delusion. All right, so we promised that we would do the rating game and end it.
Yeah, the rating game.
So I am going to maintain my rating of a 10
Right.
here. So I had predicted your rating was going to be a 5.5. Where is your rating,
So
Ruben?
originally, right after I saw the episode, I wrote down a 3.
Wow.
I am gonna bump it up to a 4, only because I feel
Wow.
like
Oh my
3 is
gosh.
just a little too harsh. It's just it's just the next step down from the last episode, which was a 5. So next week, I predict the 3 is coming because this show's going nowhere
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
taking its time to get there.
But I got you to reconsider your rating. Do you think the discussion had
I
anything
had
to
been
do with
wavering
that?
between. I even told Sean earlier in a DM on Twitter, between a 2 and a 3, or maybe a 4. I was like, I don't know. I just really can't stand watching this show anymore. It's so pointless to me.
Oh man.
But I don't hate it. Though, like I
So
don't
I
hate
I
it.
have right. Right. Yeah, hate is
I
0,
just feel
right?
like
Like you
if
believe,
it
yeah.
wasn't Picard and it was just some sci-fi show that you were like, hey, check this show out, like with The Expanse, right? I would have stopped watching by now for sure. But because of Patrick Stewart,
To me
I'm still here, and also because I love being on your
to
show.
me you can't thank you. To me, you can't compare, The Expanse to Picard because The Expanse is inspired by Star Trek, so,
What was
what can you
Picard
really compare it
inspired
to?
by?
But what I will itself. It's inspired by itself.
It
They're
was
like they're paving the way. This is the new Star Trek. This is how Star Trek is now. At least this, this version of it. But I love that you love being on the show. I have to ask because I like to do a little promoting. Do you think you'll continue watching no matter how dismal it
I
gets for
mean,
you and keep coming on this show?
I'll
Like
finish
I would
the
love it if you
season.
say yes.
I'll
You'll
finish
finish the
the season.
season? Oh,
I've gone this
obviously,
far,
you have no idea
you
how
know.
happy that thank you. I think we still I think we endure the highs and the lows together. Like, it's like,
Uh,
together
you know.
we're gonna find our way. What show is that, Ruben?
Uh,
Together
is that
making us smile one day. I don't know. To learn about all about those things you just can't hide. Two silver spoons together. You and
yeah, here it goes. It
I
goes, here we are,
together.
face to face, a
Face
couple
to
of
face,
silver
a couple
spoons.
of silver spoons. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Blah blah blah
Blah, blah,
blah.
blah.
Z blah blah blah. All right, I think that's the end of that. I want to promote Drunk Space 9, and I have to ask you on air. I guess we could talk about this off air. We got to figure out what episode we're
Oh,
gonna watch.
I did officially roll the die, but
I know, so we'll talk about this offline. We'll propose it to Evan, who we're excited to have on tomorrow's episode, from Asking Linda's. So it all comes full circle.
awesome.
You met Kevin of Nine, and now you'll meet Evan, son of Dennis, as he's known on Drunk Space Nine.
Evan of 10.
Ruben, the Martian, thank you for being on. What are you promoting this week? How did the Naked Angels? What was that event? How did it go? Did it go?
Cold reading series that I attend. Yeah,
Yes.
I had 12 pages of a new script I'm working on, which I call the Miami Maltese Falcon. So
Ooh.
kind of film noir. I could even talk to you about pictures. Just thought about that.
Oh,
But
we'll talk for sure.
yeah, so it was read. The audience was a really great reaction. I used that place as a testing ground to see what I kind of finished next. So I'm having another script read in a couple weeks, and
On a Tuesday, it's always on a
so
Tuesday,
on
right?
Tuesday at 9. Yeah,
Look, Starfleet Boy's starting to figure it out. He might actually show up to one.
if you want to be an actor in a show, you have to show up by 8:30. If you want to
8:30. Okay.
if you want to if you show up
Oh,
at 8, you can turn in scripts for consideration. They also take musicians, comedians, spoken word.
very cool.
But yeah, so in a couple weeks I'm having my Alien Invasion show read, and then depending on how that goes, right now it looks like Maltese Falcon's the one I should finish next, based on audience reaction.
Reaction. Very nice. I like this. I like this a
So
lot. We will talk for sure. I would love to come with my camera in tow. Um, Excellent. So Anything else to promote this week?
No, that's about it for me.
Am I gonna be? Can I be annoying and be like, is Reuven-Rights.com up?
No,
Is that never going up? Is that dead?
I need it to go up, but I'm just really slacking on it, and I need to figure out
I
how
can.
to. I don't.
In my
Yeah.
day, I ran a successful website that I designed and published myself, and I can definitely guide
Well, I
you.
should pick your brain on what's the best way to go about it because I already got the .com name
We'll,
registered.
we'll, we'll
But
talk
what?
offline. And
Yeah.
audience, if you want to know anything about web stuff, uh, Starfleet Boy Consulting is happy to talk to you about it. Anyways, on that note, ooh, Starfleet Boy Consulting. It's got a
I
ring to
like that.
it.
It has a little, yeah.
Live long and prosper, Jolon True. And we never did the clap, so we'll do it right now. We'll see you next time. Oh my gosh.